Hey everybody out there, my name is Dragnix, and this is Puzzle Strike. $14.99 came out on the Steam store December 21st. It is an online deck building game based off the tabletop variant, and it was designed by David Srillian. It's a lead designer for Puzzle Fighter HD Remix, aka that old Street Fighter puzzle game that was actually rather interesting. Now, does it do enough to keep the people of the tabletop universe and the card game universe entertained, or does it have a little bit of problems under the surface? That's what I'm going to answer, and I'm going to show you a little bit of gameplay and talk about what the game does well and what the game does poorly. Now, the object of the game is simple. See this bar. This is your gem bar, aka the gem bank. The object of the game is to get 10 gems into your opponent's gem bar and have them end their turn with it in order to win. If you have 10 in your gem bank and you end your turn, you lose. Now, you do that in a variety of ways, but let's start with our bag. At the start of the game, you are dealt 5 chips, and you have 10 chips in your bag to start the game. There are 6 1 chips, which are used to buy more chips with. These chips are in the bank, and I'll get to that in a little bit. You get 1 crash gem, which is used to attack the opponent, and 3 character-specific cards. For example, you see Martial Mastery here. Now, this arrow means that I can get an extra turn from it. That means any kind of turn. I'll get to that, what I mean by that in a little bit. And it gives you a specific action. These actions will be very character specific and will actually dictate what kind of strategy you have going forward, as I'll show you in a little bit. Now, start of my hand here. I only really got 1 card I can play. These are all used to buy things in the buy phase, but I start with only the action phase. So I'm actually going to get more chips by playing reversal, and hey look, more buying power. Cool. Now I can buy anything with 6 value or below. Now, I could buy the most expensive chip, but early on, my strategy is always to get more buying power so I can get bigger and better chips. So I'm going to buy a 3 chip here and end my turn. That will go into my discard pile. You go through your bag, and once you go through everything in your bag, then you shuffle the discard pile back into the bag. So you're always building the same deck over and over again using the cards and the gems that you've got. I'll show you why that's important in a little bit. All right, at the start of my turn, I'm actually going to use Martial Mastery to take one of those 1 gems and trash it. What I mean by that is it discards from my deck and my discard pile into the bank. And then now I'm going to get a chip that costs 3, which I'm going to get a 2 chip, put it in my discard pile. So I've upgraded it. That's one of his skills. All right, I'm going to use this to get an extra turn and the pig. The pig in particular lets me keep a specific chip to the next turn. So I can keep a chip around that may not be useful this turn, but may be useful in a little bit. And that's why I'm using the crash gem at this point. So I'm going to end my turn. I only have 1 chip I can use, but I'm going to buy a risky move, which will allow me to upgrade. End my phase, and then I'm going to keep the crash gem. Alright, so he's going to play his cards. He's going to see if there are anything. Okay, so he gets an extra move and $1, blah, 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 bloobity blah. He's going to do things. Now, the only thing I can do next turn is the crash gem. The crash gem is how I move gems over to my opponent. So for example, see this 1 gem? I'm going to try to attack him with this crash gem. Does he have a crash gem in his hand? Nope. That means the gem goes to him, and I've given him a gem now and taken 1 away from me. A net of 2. That's how you get gems over. The thing is that if he had a crash gem himself, he could have blocked that and used one of his gems to block, destroying both of them. Now, you think, okay, that may be complicated in terms of, well, it'll just be a back and forth, right? Except this card, which I'm going to buy, the Combine card. I'm also going to buy a Draw 3 just because I want more buying power. That Combine card is special. It allows me to combine gems in my bank. Why would I want to do that? Well, when I use a crash gem, I send over 1 gem, regardless of its size. So, for example, once I get my phase going here, I'm going to use the Combine. I'm going to make a 2 gem. Now, I would send both of them over at once now. It makes it a little bit harder for him to be able to do something with. All right, I'm going to trash the 1. I don't have a lot of buying power in this hand, so I'm going to probably take the $2, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know yet. Gain a chip exactly 3. Yep, that will be that one. I will Use that to gain a black and a pig, just in case. Crash gem. Okay. I have 0 buying power. I have to buy something every turn, so the only thing I can buy is a wound, which does nothing and is not helpful to me whatsoever, but I have to take it because I didn't have the buying power because of the -1 from the combine. That's fine. I'll keep the crash gem around just in case, and end my turn. Now, the puzzle ones are a little bit different. So, like, for example here, oh, he's going to attack me. I'm going to actually guard him using one of my other 1 gems, so you'll see it'll cancel each other out. Now, besides the character uniqueness, aka those special cards, there are the puzzle cards which are in the bank. Those are customized at the start of the game, aka the host of the game creates this bank. It's part of the problem I have with the game in terms of its execution. Now, some characters are very, very specific. For example, there is a Phoenix character who likes red cards, likes taking wounds as well. The thing is that if the puzzle cards are really, really strong towards those characteristics, it gives that character a very, very distinct advantage. And if you're hosting a game, you have control of that unless if you set it to random. It feels like there's an imbalance issue there that I really don't like. All right, I'm going to play here, play this guy, get a risky move, get some cost out of that. 8, I'm actually going to take a 4, and I'm going to end my phase. Now, one of the things I really like about the game is that it's very, very interesting to have how it plays out. Even though you have a specific strategy in mind for, like, example, the panda there, or for that Phoenix character I mentioned, the fact of the matter is that it won't always work for you. You may have to switch up your strategy if they're defending against it. These red cards, for example, are attack cards, which will have some negative effect on the player. But then you have a blue card that you can defend against. So you got to be careful. If they're getting a bunch of blue chips and you know they're buying a bunch of blue chips, you may not want to go red at that point. There may not be no point to it. All right, I'm going to draw 3. That didn't help me at all. I was hoping for more value, but instead I'm going to get a double chip, which will allow me to send 2 chips over to him. But I'm getting dangerously close to problems here, as you see. And it doesn't help that I'm not getting the chips to really work with at this point. Little bit of a problem. I only have 1 turn left at this point, so I'm in trouble. Let's do that. Actually, I'm going to trash the wound so I can get I'm going to get a sale prices there. And then this guy. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing there. I'm in trouble. I need a purple gem fast. I might as well buy one just in case. Oh, okay, there we go. A double crash gem. That's excellent. That's gonna help me a lot. Is he gonna send it over? Please don't tell me you're gonna send it over. Oh, I have my reversal. That's good. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys why the power of this guy is so big. The combine. So, combine. I'm going to combine those 2. And then I'm going to play the double crash gem. So I'm going to send all 4, the 1 and the 3 over. Now it went from 10 to 6 to 9 to 6 because he couldn't defend it. A little bit of a problem for him. And again, that's the give and take of this game. It can change rather quickly on 1 turn. It's nice in that way. All right, let's see. What do I want to buy? I'm going to buy 1 of each, and I'm going to buy another combine, and I'm going to end my turn. Now, interface-wise, this game, unfortunately, sucks. It is showing its web-based roots, in my opinion, because you see things like this, and it's ugly as hell. And, hey, look, I KO'd the guy. Good for me. Now, there are more than 2 players that can play it at a time, and that does change strategy even more at this point. It does seem like there are certain characters that, in my opinion, do a lot better than others. And again, I only spent about 6 hours with this game, so I can't necessarily say that it would be a balance issue or anything like that. I felt like characters who were able to get more buying power did a lot better. Now, there are certain characters that counteract that, but I feel like in essence, it was always better to go for buying power because you could get those bigger cards and, you know, get those elements that you really needed. Now, with that said, online play works rather well in the Steam version. Now, I say the Steam version because, like I mentioned before, there is a browser version of this game that I couldn't get to work. Yeah, for some reason, every time I try to, you know, start an AI opponent or play against a computer player, it never worked for me. And even with 2 different machines that I was working off of, I couldn't get it to work. So I'm not exactly sure what was happening there. Now, whether or not it is enough for you to want to purchase this game at its base price is a different story. There is a lot of good complicated mechanics here, and I feel like it's a game that could really work in the sort of traditional tabletop card building experience. There is enough tactics, and while the uniqueness of each character is what really drives the sort of strategy of the game, I feel like there's enough strategies and characters to really work off of it, whether it be you go fast and furious, whether you're building, you know, all these elements into your deck, or whether or not you just, you know, take turn after turn after turn. There's a lot of different strategies, and I did play around with several different characters and found that, like, for example, the Phoenix character I mentioned did really well when I played to those strengths. Mastering a character is very similar to mastering a fighting character. Sure, you can play another character in case you really need to change things up, but otherwise, you're going to want to stay with your one character over and over again. I think the bigger problem in terms of the multiplayer portion, again, is the bank. The thing is that if you find players that you can play with over and over again, and you guys can sort of agree on the bank system, then that's going to work for you rather well. I do want to see that, you know, 1, 2, 3 chip, like, choice would have been put into play, where, like, one player chooses a chip to put into the bank, and another player chooses a chip to put in the bank, and, you know, forces a little bit of a different action from people. Now, the DLC portion of the game is where things get a little bit more interesting. So you get 10 characters with the base price of $15, but there's also a Shadow Characters pack, which is also $15. Again, the same price of the game. I almost think that it was a little bit too pricey for the characters. Yes, they are the unique elements of the game, and it's definitely trying to play off that. But honestly, for the 10 characters you get the base experience, and you don't really need those other 10 characters, because I think the first 10 characters do a reasonably good job of keeping the variety up. So I don't necessarily think the Shadow Characters are worth it, but they do provide different strategies and different elements that you wouldn't see in other places. Again, the game shows its sort of browser-based components with things like this, where the UI doesn't go away, only after a period of time does it go away, not on clicks or anything like that, and that's annoying. In fact, the entire design of this sort of menu and everything feels a little bit ugly, in my opinion. There is a version of the iOS game that is going to be coming out soon. They haven't said exactly when, but it's coming out soon, they say. And I feel like I see where they're coming from in terms of this being an iOS kind of game, in terms of the sort of design that they've gone through here. And again, I've talked about how the PC platform has a lot more strengths in terms of display information and things like that, and I feel like the game hasn't taken advantage of it here. There are ugly elements that feel tacked on, like the bottom sort of taskbar-like element of this game. Again, it is ugly, it's functional, but it's ugly. Though I will say that I do appreciate the fact that there will be cross-platform multiplayer, aka a browser person can play with, you know, somebody on Steam, and Steam can play with somebody on iOS. So that is nice. Now, overall, Puzzle Strike has a lot of complication to it, a lot of different strategies to it, and I feel like if you really are that kind of player, it does work. The thing is that I feel like it is one of those specialized games where it may work for you, but it may also completely not work for you. Like, at first, I was really having trouble getting my head around this game and its complication, especially with the triple mechanics like you see here. And it did cause a barrier of entry where I said, stop, I don't know if I can get into this game as much as I think I can. And so what I would suggest to people is go try the browser version and see if it works for you, and that will give you an idea of exactly what the game has to offer. I think it's a good strategy game at its base, and I feel like even though the interface is ugly and I feel like they could have done a lot more with it, the base gameplay is fun and it does a good job in teaching, different strategy elements that going back and forth with. The tutorial's not the greatest, but it sort of lets you play along and try to figure it out on your own. Alright, this is Dragnix signing out. I will see you guys Monday. I know I said I wouldn't do another video until Monday, but I wanted to get this out of the way. Alright, see you later. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button in the middle of the screen. The last video I did will be in the top left, and a related video to this will be in the top right. I do have a Twitter handle at the bottom left, and a Facebook page at the bottom right. And of course, you can always subscribe to the Google Plus portion. Anyway, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.